tithes and offerings so that we now enjoy the fruit of their labor. We're building upon a firm foundation. You've heard me say this in times past, that the first Saturday morning intercessory prayer we had in this place, I laid right there in the middle of the floor, and the Lord spoke to me as clear as I've ever heard. And he says to me, he says, this is my house. And he says, and don't despise the past, because I was here, and I'm here now, and I'll be here in the future. This is my house. Be careful how you build on this foundation. Pastor, I was told that there was a time when you all were in the midst of a challenge, and there were some people who thought that there should be a transition in your leadership in this house. And I was told that Pastor was brought right here on this stage, and some unkind words were spoken to him and over him. Tonight, we're going to speak kind words over you. Tonight, we're going to bless you and not curse you. Tonight, we're going to give you the honor of the years of 4 years of ministry of serving God before the next year. We're going to honor this man tonight. And so, 50 years in ministry. So here's what I'm going to do.
I'm sorry.
You just sit right there, and we're going to have people just come up and express their gratitude to you. And the first couple that I want to start this thing off with is Brian Johnson.
Pastor, I was in the audience. That was over 6 years ago. And there were some terrible things said. But today, we honor you. I never stopped honoring, and there were others. God bless the day that you came into this world. We thank you for all that you have done in our family. You've dedicated babies, you baptized some, chastised others, married a few. We thank you. I was listening to the song, that song that the choir sung this morning, Nothing Compares to the Promise I Have. That song was a song that I held on for those years, seeing you suffer, seeing you disappointed. But one thing, you taught me how to fight. You taught me how to fight in the spirit, because you were always a man of humility. You was always a man of peace and love. And you taught me how to laugh. I appreciate your jokes through the years, and it helped me. You were there in my high times. You were there in the low. So I just want to thank you and honor you. God bless the day you were born, December 24th.
I don't know what to say that I haven't already said to you. I love you more than you know. You're not just a pastor. You're not just a friend. You've been my dad when I needed a dad. You've been so many things to me, more than you will ever know. I love you. I respect you. And I respect the humility in you. But I also saw the fight in you. And you taught me how to fight in the natural too. Because when people come against you, they come against me. Because that's how I feel about all of y'all, by the way. Because we're family. So when somebody comes after the person that I love, I put my spiritual fight on and I put my physical fight on. So I will stand beside you for the rest of your life. I love you dearly. Thank you for being my pastor for all those years and getting us ready for what we have. Because without you, we wouldn't be here right now.
Thank you.
I'm going to invite Siggy and Lisa to come up. and bless Pastor Carter.
Pastor Carter, I know that our relationship, we've only known you for just a short time and not as long as others, and I'm very jealous of that, but I really look forward to the many years that we have still. But I just want to say that, first of all, say that God is good, and He blesses all, and I thank Him daily. I thank Him for having us find Covenant here in Colleyville. And like Pastor Ricky said, this church is truly about relationships and building relationships. And the one in particular, the most special to both of us, is the relationship that we have formed with both you and Pastor Ann. From day one in our relationship, you have become a father and mother to both of us. We are not fortunate to have our family nearby. And just like a mom and dad, you have been there for both of us in our highlights of our lives and our low times. Starting out with premarital counseling, which in turn had us have a personal assignment, and that was to look for a marriage, a couple that we highly respect, and to go interview that couple. And we both looked at each other and we knew right away who that couple was going to be. And that was both you and Pastor Ann. And I just remember sitting over that table for hours and just listening to your stories, and you both were so transparent, and we love you for that. And we've learned so much. And we both highly respect both of you and honor the marriage that you both have right now. As parents, like I said, you've been through us with that, and we had the honor of having both of you officiate over our wedding as well. Another highlight in our life there. And you have become a spiritual mentor for both of us. And continuing to learn more about God led us to our Fresh Start class. And right there led to our most important highlight in our life, and that's learning what the true meaning of the anointing of the Holy Spirit and the baptism, and that's what we both celebrated this past Sunday. Thank you. Thank you. And of course, I respect you, and we wanted both of you to be there to witness that. Thank you. Once again, Mom and Dad. We love you both, and again, we want to wish you a very, very, very happy birthday, and can't wait to celebrate the many more to come.
Amen.
We love you.
Amen.
I'm just going to add that you are my mentor. I look up to you as my mentor, and also as the godly man that I aspire to be.
Thank you.
One thing I can say about you, you're a man of integrity. You speak from your heart. And I highly respect the man that you are. You're a true man of God. And I call it an honor and a privilege to know you this past 4 years. And I want you to have the very best happy birthday.
Well, I can appreciate the heart of a pastor being the son of one. And I know and have seen pastors, and I've seen the hearts of pastors. And I don't consider myself to be a great judge of anything, but I can make some choices and make some assessments. And I've seen your heart, and I know your heart as a pastor. I know the ups and downs of that role and that position. And both you and Ann have weathered a lot of things, a lot of which I don't even know about, but I can only surmise because I know what pastors go through. And I know what they go through when times are not so good and the people are not so good. But that shows the heart and the mettle of the pastor and the heart and the mettle of the man. And that's what I honor tonight, is you, the man of character. We bless you and wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you, Lord.
place other than Daniel has known you as long as I have. From San Antonio, Corpus, all the way up here, you have been the same godly man. I have the highest respect. Now don't you cry, because I'm going to cry. When I think about the years that you and Pastor Ann stood beside me with love, care, and when I needed time to find myself, you never let me go. You always stood just close enough that if I needed you. And at this time to honor you is such an honor to me, because you are a man of God. You are a man of character. When it came time to decide which side you're going to go to, I knew where I was going. I was going with you because you had taught me, and you had fed me, and you had loved me. And I can never, ever stand anywhere but right beside you. You've given me respect. You've given me love. You've given me some great jokes, too. And I've enjoyed and laughed at all of them. But most of all, you've been a man of God. You and Pastor Ann are dear, dear friends. You're my pastor. You're my friend. You are the man of God that he placed here to get us ready to bring us in. How many Mondays we sat in that green room now and prayed, and God answered our prayers and brought it. Suddenly, it all changed. And God never forgot you. And you're right here. And we can see the fruits of our prayer and what God has done for this church. We'll never, ever be the same. But I thank God I've had an opportunity to tell you how much I love and respect both of you and such dear, dear, godly people in the
Well, we're back together again. We've been with these two lovely people since 1977. And our paths have crossed at different times, and we've come back home because we were in this church for 20-something years. And Carter, I always remember you coming to Chicago when we all met in the barn as Jesus freaks, can I say that? And he came to mentor us and help us to be disciples of Jesus. And we moved to be with them. And we want to thank you, Pastor. It's wonderful to be back in the family. Who would have thought that God would bring us after all these years back together again? And we do honor you and thank you.
I'm not real long-winded, but I've got three things that I've seen Carter do in 30-some years we've known him. First of all, I've seen him chase God continually, over and over again. And I've seen him become a pastor over people. I've seen the love he has for people and the dedication for people. And the last thing, if you line up the people he touched out the door, you can never see the end of it. He's touched a lot of people, a lot of families, and we love you. Thank you for that.
At this time, if you want to say publicly a word of encouragement and thanks to Pastor, I'm going to ask you, if you're on this side, just line up right here, and we'll just mic by mic, one at a time. Come bring that other mic. If you're on this side, just form a line on this side, and then however you line up, that's fine.
I wanted to step up here. I wanted to speak to you as well as to Pastor Carter, and I have a reason for that. I wasn't sure if this was going to be referenced, but it was, so I'm going to reference it. But the time there was some nasty stuff said about Pastor Carter right here. I was there. I was at that meeting, and the things that were said out to the people. They weren't just said to him. They were said out to the people. So I want to say what I'm saying tonight out to you about him. He's been a man of God. People have said they've known him a long time. We've known him since 1974. And I was part of a little church in Manhattan, Kansas. And our pastor there sought out over some pastoral oversight, and Pastor Carter was that man. And so I've known him for a long time, and I've seen him be successful in ministry, and then God moved him on and turn ministry over to other people. He was never holding on to stuff, and just because of how this is here, just another example of that. God let him do what he did, and we've merged up with Covenant Church, and it's been very successful. This, having this place full and having over 1,000 people coming here on weekends, that's just incredible. And he's been a real example, a faithful man. And Pastor Ricky referenced that God spoke something to him when he was laying here on a Saturday morning. And the night that this particular incident, this not so good incident, happened, is one of the few times I've ever been up here on this stage and said something. This is another one. You can probably count them on one hand the times I've said something up here. But this is what I said, and I'm standing by it tonight. He has been my pastor, he is my pastor, and he will be my pastor in the future. And,
I've got to see my friend Pastor Ann at the same time that I say this to you. I was thinking about through the years, and you and Pastor Ann both don't know how many times I've quoted to others wisdom that comes back in the moment of things you've spoken to me that was godly wisdom, and I honor you for that. And I was thinking the reference back in Manhattan, Kansas, when you were the voice of calm back in the day. Our pastor, it was a season of pastors having pastors, and he had invited 2 or 3 men to our little local congregation, and there was great reaction to the other 2, but you were the voice of peace and calm that not only our pastor received, but the people who were under him at the time. And so I bless you for that, and you've always been that man, strength under fire, and you're the example of when others do wrong by you, you've always been at peace and spoken words of peace and never retaliated. And I bless you for that. And I was thinking of, in that season that was referenced, all 3 of our 4 children were there because the teenagers witnessed this. And my Jessie, who was I think 15 at the time, 15 or 16, she said, "Mom, of all the people I've ever heard speak, Pastor Carter, I've never had to wonder, is that right what he's saying? I've always known that when Pastor says it, it's right." And I thought about what she said, and it's true. I've never heard you spoken anything that I had to say, I don't know about that. And I bless you for that. And one time I heard my husband tell you that he says, "Pastor, I think you'd get a hold of more people if you spoke fire and brimstone a little bit every now and then." And he said, "There's some of us that you know are reached by a stronger message." And I remember you saying, "But I can't speak out of that because I've only had experience with my father of love, and I've never experienced harshness at his hand, and so I can only speak of the love." So all these things are rushing back to me, and many more, but I'll give someone else a chance. But I just want to say how much we love you and our dear friend Pastor Ann, and we bless you and thank you for standing up for righteousness in the midst of good times and in bad, and we thank you.
Pastor, how appropriate it was tonight that Pastor Ricky talked about honor. You're a true man of honor. You've touched my life, you've touched my wife's life. I know when I was trying to decide whether to come to Covenant or not, I'd gone to man's breakfast, and after it was over, I was walking out to my car, and I felt this hand touch me. I don't think God's hand would have touched as gently as yours did. And the love that you portrayed just by your touch is just amazing. That's the type of man that you are. You've been through a lot of trials and tribulations. We talked about them last week when we were at home, about some of the things that's happened to you during your man's life. And you're a strong man. You don't judge. And you follow God. And that's one of the reasons I just respect you so much. This church is successful because, as Ricky says, it has a foundation. That foundation was you. You stayed with it, you sacrificed, and you followed God. And that's the reason people love you. The things they say tonight are not just accolades, they're things that come truly from their heart. And I want to say what you meant in our lives and how much we love you, man. And thank you very, very much.
Papa, you have been Papa and Mom to us for so very long. And I thought about the major things that happened when I first started living life. And you were there. A new mom, struggles in marriage, going out into ministry. You sat and you watched us and you cared for us. And sometimes I'd have to leave kicking and screaming way up to Wisconsin or somewhere in ministry. And I always knew that you were my spiritual parents and you were there. And even if I couldn't get to you and touch you, that you were praying. You were praying us through every situation. And I just thank God for you. Sometimes I sit and count my blessings by name, and one of my most treasured ones is Carter Foster and Ann Foster. And I looked up your name because I get nervous about speaking and said Carter, someone who drives a cart, and Foster was something of the force. And I thought, Lord, that doesn't sound, very appealing. And then I thought, if you had not driven that car, I could have come out of the forest sometimes.
That's good.
And I thank you for loving us, for allowing God's love to come through you. And I love you, Papa.
Well, I was thinking about how I was going to honor you for your birthday, and here we are. You're a pastor, and you are my spiritual parents, too, and you have been for the past 4.5 years now. Our paths crossed from a not so pleasant experience in my life. And I can't thank you enough for the countless hours of counseling, of 3 o'clock in the morning phone calls. And you have walked with me through valleys, mountaintops, and valleys and mountaintops. And you have been a strong tower for me. And even though the things that we thought were going to happen didn't come out the way that we thought they were, you never once doubted me. You always had faith in me, trust in me. And I couldn't think of a better way to honor you than to name my son after you. You were there. You drove all the way to Allen when Isaiah was born, from here to Allen, which is far. It's like Egypt. And you were there, and you held him, and you loved him, and my babies know you as Papa and Grandma. And then Jeremiah came, and you were the first one to feed him, which I'm sure he appreciated. But I can't tell you how grateful I am to you guys. You have been everything that I needed you to be when I needed you. And I know that you were always praying for me even when I wasn't talking talking with you or being with you, I could feel those prayers and the encouragement and the power from just your presence and your peace. And I'm so thankful because I don't have the parents that I needed, and you guys are always there to fill that spot. And I know that, we sometimes can't choose our family, but we can choose God's family.
Amen.
And I couldn't have asked for a better set of spiritual parents. And I'm so thankful for you guys. I love you.
Pastor Carter, I haven't known you since 1974. I think I was still a doctor. I thank you for your, somebody thinks that's cool. Anyway, I just thank you for being the man that you are. All the great words have been said, and you've been a great example to me. As most people know, we've gone through a very difficult time in the last few years, and you were always there. It was hardly a Sunday or Wednesday went by where, like Jim Bugg said, just a gentle touch, and I could hear, even if I couldn't see your face, you were saying a prayer over me, and that meant so much. It's a small thing, but it's huge, and that example is an example I hope I can follow. You've meant a lot to Frida and Jonathan and myself, and we were always asking about Jonathan. We didn't hardly know Jonathan, but always asking about him and what's going on with him. And just a man of integrity. I love you for that. Just a tremendous example. And all the little things that you do for people are great things. Continue to do those. That is your legacy.
Amen.
I thank you. God bless you many, many more years. God bless you.
Thank you.
Pastor is a term synonymous with shepherd, and a shepherd's primary responsibility is to care for the sheep. And I can't think of a single person who more personifies a caring shepherd than you, Pastor Carter. Whether it's lunch or a counseling session, a hello, a hug, a joke, you always make sure that we feel loved and cared for in this house. And I thank you and Pastor Ann for joining Pastors Ricky and Sid and shepherding this flock. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I was actually going to say the same thing. To me, you completely embody what a pastor should be. When I have pictured throughout my life, growing up in church and things, when the Bible talks about a good shepherd, you embody that to me. And just doing the journey of being a Christian. And that's what I love about you is your humility, like they referred to, and the fact that I feel with you as if we're walking along with you in your journey with the Lord and trying to keep up sometimes in your passion for Him. And I so appreciate the role that you've had in my husband's life and in so many other men in this congregation and in my life. And you guys are just amazing examples of what it means to follow hard after God for your whole life. And I pray that we look like that. God bless you.
Pastor Carter, I've only known you a few months, and I've only been here a few months, but you were the pastor that preached and were the one to welcome me here to the church when I first visited. I think Pastor Ricky was on vacation. And you made me feel welcome. You made me feel right at home here. I also want to thank you and Pastor Ann for the times that we spent speaking, I guess, two-on-one, praying and talking and sharing. And one thing you taught me is the meaning of forgiveness, because of your transparency, and you've helped me. Hopefully, you've helped me to begin to walk in that, to be able to forgive in all situations. I want to thank you. I also want to thank you that there have been times when I was feeling down at home, and the phone rings, and it's you on the other end, just wanting to know what I'm doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Carter, Pastor Ann, for standing and seeing us through. When we first moved to Colleyville, we went to one other church. This was our second church. We sat over there, and Dean and I looked at each other. We laughed at your jokes. But we looked at each other and we said, we're home. Because we knew God had directed us here. And I want to thank you because you're transparent and you're a man who is not afraid to cry. And I think the men need to see that more because you emanate Father's love and you are a pastor to the congregation. And like the others here, we sat back there when all that happened. And you called us, and you wanted to know how we were doing. And I thank you for that because you prayed for me over the phone. We were able to talk and share. But thank you because look what the Lord has done.
Amen.
We're seeing prophecy fulfilled in this house.
Yes.
And we honor you. And I want to thank you because when my mom came down and she was in the hospital, you went there to see her. And I know it had an impact in her life because I believe after you talked to her is when she gave her heart to the Lord before she went home. So I honor you. We all honor you in our household. And we just thank you so much.
Amen. Thank you, Lord.
My pastor, my brother, and my friend, I just want to say on behalf of my husband and I that we love you so much. And what we see that we love so much about you is that you have such a genuine love for people and care for people. And a passion for marriages that is just unbelievable for you. And Pastor Ann, we love you guys so much.
Thank you.
Just thank you for just being who you are. I'm just glad God brought you into this earth for such a time as this.
Amen.
God bless
Amen.
you and happy birthday.
Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Just overwhelmed right now because I would not be married. We would not be married today if it were not for you. You have stood by us in the roughest of times when we just gave up. I mean, we were done ourselves. And you are like, nope, no, you're not. We're going to talk. We have our next appointment. Here's your homework. And I'd be like, homework? Seriously? But you encouraged us. You did not judge us. You taught us about agreement. You taught us about being in unity, about forgiveness, about loving each other in spite of. And I'm just so grateful. And I'm so thankful because I have a marriage that I never dreamed of having. And you've been a mother and a father to us. And all I can say is thank you for being obedient to the call that God has in your life.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you.
Amen.
Pastor Carter, happy birthday. And thank you for being a man of integrity that you are. Thank you for the countless hours that you spend with us. And the work is still going. But it's only going because of your tenacity to not give up on us. And we thank you for that. So many things that you have taught me personally. You know, you tell of the dream that you had of the one bicycle wheel and trying to fit it into a picture. And God gave you the vision that without your wife, Pastor Ann, you would be like a bicycle with one wheel. But I thought to myself, well, darn, I don't want to be a bike with one wheel. So I better get it together. So thank you for that revelation. You taught me how to dream, how to journal, how to interpret those dreams that God has given me. Thank you so much for the class that you taught on community with God, dialogue with God. Thank you so much for that. And during the toughest times with me and my wife, you taught us how to pray. And I knew for sure that even if she couldn't stand me, there's one time a day that I can at least touch her when we pray. She taught us how to pray. Pastor Carter taught us how to pray like this. So thank you so much.
Amen.
Well, Pastor Carter, happy birthday. And I'm not one to talk a lot or really get up to talk, but I was one thing that God touched me while I was sitting over there was that no way when a man like you is being honored could I sit there and not say anything. So I just want to say happy birthday and a couple things I wanted to share. I remember we were at the Johnson's Life Team, you and Pastor Ann came to speak, and things we've gone through, there was a lot of hurt and a lot of walls up, but because of the love you've extended to us, those walls came down and allowed us to get back in and to serve and to honor those like yourself and Pastor. So we thank you for that. And then I was also thinking about three things that came to mind when I thought about you, and that's your strong marriage that you guys continue to exude, and then also the peace you have. There's a peace around you that whenever someone's talking to you, or I'm talking to you, there's peace that comes over you. And that's a strength that you have. The other thing is joy, is that you bring joy. The jokes you tell, the smile, you bring joy. And those are strong things to possess. And I just want to say, I honor you for that and how the light shines from you. So thank you. Thank you so much for what you mean to me in my life.
Happy birthday. I'm a crybaby, so I'm going to try to keep this short because it gets ugly. So, happy birthday. Happy birthday. And the one thing that came to my heart as we were sitting there is your respect for your wife. I had to see that being where we came from, and just to see how much you love her, just as you love yourself, just as the scripture states. It touches my heart to see that, and I just appreciate you. I thank you guys for your marriage, and you were so transparent and real, and we thank God for you guys, so happy birthday.
Thank you.
Pastor Carter, I've only been here about 4 years, and you don't know me that well, and I don't know you that well, but I want to say one thing that you've really ministered to me is that due to the childhood I've had and marriages that I've had, I have not been exposed to a lot of men with integrity, and a lot of men with genuine, gentle hearts. And when I see you, I see the most compassionate man, the most gentle-spirited man, but one with honor and integrity, someone that I can follow and look up to, someone that I can watch you and Pastor Ann walk in the marriage, and I can say, you know what, if I ever get the opportunity again, that's what I want. That's the kind of man that I want, and I thank you. I thank you for loving the Lord the way that you do, and for sharing that love with us. Happy birthday.
Amen. I'm going to invite Dan, your son, to just come and speak words of whatever, words of encouragement, whatever you want to say to your dad.
Dad, I love you very much. I honor you. You did it right. I'm the luckiest man in this room to have you as a father. You're my hero. You've been faithful through the years. There's many times when you've been in this room alone praying for this church. And God answered your prayer. prayer, and he brought it to fulfillment to this day. And I just want to break the lies that were spoken about you in the past. Let them be gone in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
You are a righteous man who followed God, and you've been obedient and faithful, and we honor you. And we resist all the negative words that have